All right, guys, this is Norval Central coming back at you with another YouTube video, and I really appreciate all the love and support so far on all of my YouTube videos. Be sure to hit my Instagram and also Twitter accounts up because I do post consistently on there as well. I'm trying to get back into the YouTube swing of things by getting daily content out there about Florida State team news as well as recruiting news as well. I'm also a contributor on Shop Chat, so I do a lot of writing on there as well. So be sure to go check out those articles as I'll be able to post all of those at a direct time. But I really appreciate it as always. And let's go ahead and get straight into this video. So, of course, Florida State, when you're talking about uncommitted prospects that Florida State is targeting right now, you're looking at the Charles Lesters, and also the KJ Boldens, I think, is another prospect that you can kind of look at in the secondary. Now, Patrick Surtain, it is coming into his first year at Florida State. So, of course, he wants to make a splash in terms of recruiting. And when you look at that, I mean, there's no bigger splash than having two five-star defensive backs coming into your program and being able to select Florida State and play in the Garnet and Gold. Biggest thing is, though, is that KJ Bolden is from Buford, Georgia. Of course, Georgia's quarterback commit is transferring over to play a senior season of high school over there. Crystal ball predictions have come in for Georgia at this point. I believe he's at 4 now. And, Ohio State's involved with some other schools there as well. And you're looking at Florida State. He's already been officially visited twice at Florida State, once in April and then once in June for multiple day visits. And I think that's very important because he wants to develop those relationships with the coaching staff. And when you're looking at everything that's going on, so of course, Florida State does have some defensive backs already committed to the program. You have Ricky Knight III, who is a very, very good prospect they like at corner. You also got CJ Hurd, who's been a very, very vocal recruiter of Florida State. It's been committed to the program since Marcus Woodson's been here. It's been another guy that Florida State really likes. And then you turn around, you have Red Morgan as well, who just committed recently from Phoenix City, Alabama. So when you're looking at those three guys, and you're hopefully going to have Lester in the class as well. Maybe you have a Jalewis Solomon who named Florida State his #1 school. Maybe that's another kid that you can have also. But with KJ Bolden making his decision on August the 5th, I think it's very important that he does come in and take that unofficial visit, like some of the reports have been going out there to Florida State. Now, if he does end up taking that visit at the end of July, that has something to think about. I mean, if you really look at it, because when you look at KJ Bolden as a whole, he is a prospect Florida State loves, just in terms of his skill set. Can he be able to come on campus again and showcase that? There's a reason why he calls it his dream school. The coaching staff has developed those relationships with him, and he's even alluded to before in his unofficial visits that he wants to take an official visit during the season, hopefully during the Miami game, because that's probably the best shot that Florida State has in terms of making it a competitive game, because the home slate is not great in terms of home games. But, just kind of getting back to that, I think it's a guy that you really want at the safety position because you have a guy like Akeem Dent, who is a redshirt senior that you're having to replace. Shaheem Brown is kind of developing into his own. We'll kind of see how he goes from being a reserve to being a full-time starter now at this point after Jamie Robinson went to the NFL. So when you're looking at all those guys that you have there, I mean, you have a younger guy in Conrad Hussey that's going to get some reps this year, you think. And maybe you move a cornerback over to safety. I mean, there's kind of some options that you can move there. KJ Kirkland is another option they can kind of move over there. Ashlyn Barker as well. I think there's a couple of options that you have in that secondary. But, man, I mean, if you're able to get KJ Bolden in this class, a 5-star certified playmaker with everything that it has with a huge school in Buford, Georgia, that could be a huge get for Florida State just in terms of the recruiting class. They're already 10th in the 247 composite rankings right now. They've developed a lot of good attrition so far with that, and they were able to get 7 commitments this month so far. So I think it's very important that Florida State continues to push there. Even if he does elect to go to Georgia, I think it's not over at that point. I definitely think Florida State is going to try its hardest to get into the door with that. And KJ Bolden would be a massive get for this staff if they are able to do so. But I believe it was Chad Simmons, if I remember correctly, from On3 made a report earlier talking about Florida State is a legitimate contender in this recruitment. Everybody talks about the Georgia and the Ohio States, but Florida State's making a good push for what it is. I mean, they're basically selling a vision of what they want in a program, and Florida State's on the rise at that point. I mean, the 10-3 season really helped last season with trying to get momentum to some of these guys out there. You kind of look at it in seasons past. They just wanted to see Florida State become successful in all the losing seasons in the past. and having to come back and turn around and be the Florida State a lot of people remember them as being, the talk of the offseason, being the talk of the college football media at that point, I think is very important to some of these recruits because they just want to see Florida State great again at that point. Now, can Florida State consistently be able to do that this season? We'll see how it goes. But just in terms of a talent standpoint, KJ Bolden and also with Charles Lester, that would be a massive haul for Florida State, just in terms of perception, what they bring to the table. It's kind of like when with Landon Thomas, with the five-star tight end commit with Georgia, flipped over his services over to Florida State. I think that was very important in terms of just a retrospect of what you're talking about with recruiting. So I think if you're able to get Bolden into this class or even continuing to push him if he does commit elsewhere, I think that's very massive for what Florida State staff, and it speaks volumes to what they have in terms of relationships and what you can give to the table for Florida State at this point. But I really appreciate all the love and support so far. Be sure to let me know who you think KJ Bolden is going to go to. Do you think he's going to go to Florida State? Do you think he's going to go to another school? Kind of let me know in the comments below. How do you think Florida State's defensive backboard is looking? Are you in favor of Patrick Surtain so far in his recruiting efforts? What's kind of your thought process on that? Just let me know in the comments below. Hit the subscribe button. It's completely free. I'm trying to get as many subscribers to the channel as I can, trying to get out as much daily content as I can as well. And be sure to hit the thumbs up button before you leave today. Let's try to get it up to 60 likes if we can. I know this is a very exciting video. A lot of people want to talk about KJ Bolden and the chances that Florida State has right now. Right now, I think it's kind of slim that Florida State's going to be right there. But, man, I mean, I never want to doubt Mike Norvell and this staff for what they've done recruiting ability-wise. And I think it can be really important for Florida State going forward there if they're able to get him in this class. But I really appreciate it as always, and go Noles.